Welcome to Challenging the Norm, his and hers look at life and business, hosted by Paul Snell and Lindsey Burden. This podcast is designed for solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, and business owners redefining success on their terms. Each episode dives into the topics that truly matter, offering a blend of candid discussion, practical insights, all delivered with a sense of humour. We reality check the latest business trends while offering a fresh perspective that challenges conventional thinking. Paul partners with business leaders, leveraging cutting-edge neuroscience to demonstrate how people-centered strategies drive transformational success. While Lindsey brings her unique approach to business coaching, empowering ambitious business owners to achieve financial abundance and a lifestyle rich in time and joy, all without compromising what matters most. Together, we are challenging the norm. So grab a coffee or your beverage of choice and join us as we explore the art of creating a life and business you love.
Well, Lindsey, it's another episode. And I normally say, hey, Lindsey, how you doing? I will say that. I am going to start with the idea that it's actually sunny. Now, I probably shouldn't even say that, because it's not been sunny here for weeks since Christmas, and it's rained. So it's sunny today, so I'm feeling good. The sun's always good. Sun's out. How are you feeling, Lindsey?
Like you, I love the sunshine. I try and bring a little bit of my own sunshine. I even have a mug called, I think Miss Sunshine. I like to bring my own sunshine because we have had rain in this country, in the UK, somewhere every day apparently this year, which is a bit distressing and a bit how we're all coping is beyond me. But I also had some sunshine this morning, which was great, but it is very chilly. And then this will make you laugh, Paul. And then I looked out the window and thought, oh, my bins are lying all over the floor. It's very windy out today. I should go and rescue them. So before this call, I had to rush out the bins. But enough about my bins and enough about the weather. You're in trouble.
I'm in trouble. I am in trouble. It's fair to declare to the world I'm in trouble. My wife is definitely threatening to leave me. I probably should qualify that before it sounds like we're going to have a conversation about imminent divorce. We're not. I have spent the best part of 4 weeks trying to buy a new car. Well, not a new car, a second-hand car, a car. And I have done research, analysis. I've chatted it through with ChatGPT.
What?
I've gone there and I've said, right, what would be the best car for me to do miles and all the parameters that I needed to do in there? And it came back saying, Paul, really you need to consider this car and that car. I went on 4 weeks of this analysis. I went on 3 different visits to look at cars. And at the very end, in fact, probably this Friday just gone, I was told, buy a car or I'm going to walk. In the nicest possible way and with tongue in cheek. So yes, I bought a car on Saturday, right?
Thank goodness for that.
Which is good. Yes, it's healthy for my relationship. But what did come to mind is the reality that really and truthfully, I could have probably got there much quicker than I did. I spent way too much time in the world of analysis paralysis, looking at stats, looking at look and feel. Did I like the look of it? It just got way out of hand. And that prompted me to think about we could discuss that or discuss that from a business perspective in this podcast.
Yes, because, and it's a lovely link, and I'm so glad you bought a car. And I don't have to worry about you anymore being in trouble. Because in the last episode, we were talking about the pipeline, and we were thinking about going straight to sales process. We're getting a bit more practical this year.
Yes.
Throwing ourselves straight into practical. We always start a bit more mindset-y, I guess, and find practical, we're straight in. But there is a massive gap, isn't there, between having a pipeline and what that means and what that looks like for you, and moving people through the pipeline to get them to the part where they're actually in the sales process, which is towards the end of your pipeline when you're going to convert them. And in between is this gap. And for me, what you're talking about is the gap.
Yeah.
It's the place where you go, okay, Have I got enough information? Is my offer right? Is my pricing, have I got my pricing right? I'll just see what they're doing down there. Do I need to do some more analysis? Do I really understand who my ideal client is? Who did I work? It just goes on, and it's almost like we'll do anything not to move forward, not to move ourselves closer to the point where we might have to have a sales conversation.
Yeah, you're spot on. And I probably would take it a step further and say, I think people think they're moving forward to that point. Because they're thinking that, they're justifying the I want to say lack of action. It's got action in there that isn't necessarily the right one. So I actually wonder if it's a little bit more trying to avoid the word delusional, but get to a point, and I'm being facetious, but get to a point where we actually believe the actions we're taking, and let's pick CRM as an example, right? I'm a little bit of a geeky techie person, so someone says to me, "Oh, you need to have a look at this new CRM portal. It's amazing, with all these AI interfaces and so forth." I can get lost in that for days, and that isn't necessarily, in fact, it isn't the actions I should be taking. I understand things need to be set up properly, but there is a minimum viable product in there. In other words, you just need to get the basics set up for now so that you're in a position to move people and opportunities through your funnel.
You're absolutely right. So I think there is a bit about not being delusional, but more about avoidance. I think we often put these barriers in place and it is avoidance, but we call them steps.
Yeah.
These are the steps I need to take to move me forward or to move the business forward. But actually, it's total avoidance. And you said something really interesting there for me. Somebody puts something in front of you and you get really excited and you've got to go and look at it. And Paul, let's face it, you will analyze the shit out of it. No, apologies to anyone that's listening, but I think you've got the gist that if you tell Paul to buy a car, he's going to analyze it a lot. Imagine that's life for Paul, analyzing everything. But joking apart, I think that's what happens is we get to the point where we just need to find out a little bit more, and all we are doing is we are just avoiding the inevitable. Now, I think that comes for a lot of reasons, Paul, many reasons that we've covered before. Information overload. There is so much out there that we can and can't do. There is a product for everything and 25 versions that have already gone, and there'll be 25 versions. There is just so much out there. So I'd say if somebody puts something in front of you and says, this is going to be the best thing since sliced bread, it's really time to start asking yourself some valuable questions. And this is what I don't think happens. Business owners go, oh, it's something new. So, whether you're avoiding something or not, if you're the kind of person that likes shiny new objects, you're going to go, oh, it's something new. What you should be asking yourself is, do I have something that already works? Because often if it ain't broke, don't try and fix it, I would throw in.
Yeah.
So you're looking for something. Do I need something? If the answer is no, you don't need to be looking at the shiny thing because you will waste a lot of time doing it. Or if it's not, you might be saying, well, actually, I need something that's going to work for my next steps or my next level in the business. But I'd always go, come back to what you've already got. Can you develop it? Can you grow it? Can it work for you?
Yeah.
Because I think when we throw ourselves into the new, the shiny, the next best thing, we get easily distracted. So and for me, distraction is very different from avoidance.
It is. And I think I'm going to add in one more thing in there. I mean, that's well put and completely correct. But I think I'm going to add in one more thing. I'm going to suggest that you ask yourself the question, is there anything about the next step that concerns me? Either taking it, doing it, what it might mean, how you're going to handle it. Ask yourself that question because what we tend to do, we tend to default to what's comfortable, what's familiar. I can give you a prime example of that. People that tinker with websites find it so much easier to sit and do a website rather than go on a sales call.
Yeah.
Because it's safe. No one's going to say no. It'll do what you tell it to most of the time. So I think it's also fair to suggest you ask yourself that question. Is there anything stopping you taking the next step? And I don't mean which CRM. I don't mean how many fields do you show on each contact. Don't mean that. I mean the big steps, the one that goes, we've set up a funnel, we have a funnel, and you talk about the bridge between the funnel and the sales call. I'm talking about what stops us going to the sales call. Is there anything in that?
I think that's really interesting. And that would be a fabulous way if somebody has been in business a couple of years and it's all feeling a little bit clunky. If you have been in business 10 years and go, I need to get to the next level and I don't know what I've got. I think there's some really important steps that you need to take in reviewing where you're at, what's already in your business. Because I think the key to anything, not the key to anything, I guess I want to say there's so many of us, we don't want to rush in. We don't want to make a mistake. But actually, if we do nothing, we're holding ourselves stuck anyway. If we do nothing, and I've said it before, it's a decision. You know, if you do nothing, that's a decision to do nothing.
Yeah.
And so for me, it feels like, yes, you do need to have the right systems in place and the processes, because that's what makes our businesses easier to manage. It makes them smoother, it makes them more efficient. However, one, we don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, so let's not panic and let's not change everything. But also I think there is another part to this as well, in really understanding where your next step is and then looking at what you need. So now I'm struggling to go, okay, these are some really important things that you need to do. So does that come under avoidance? Are you putting everything off? What is it? But if you were working with a coach, I think what would happen is you'd go, right, we've done that, check that, check that, check that, right, we're good to go. Now what is stopping you?
Yeah.
If in that moment, what is stopping you, go, actually, I'm not sure that this contract is quite right. You can say, okay, what do we need to do to fix the contract? X, Y, and Z. Then do that. And then so actually it's a way of smoothing out your business when it's done really well. And I think that's really hard to do on your own, because you will keep finding things that aren't right, where a coach's job or a business mentor is there to go, you've done enough now, let's move on. You've done enough now, move on.
It's so true. I mean, look, I think, and I know this, that we can be very good at self-negotiation. I'm particularly good at it, by the way, and rarely for the good reasons.
Who knew?
Who knew? I don't know how to take that, Lindsay. I'm just going to carry on. No,
it's back to the car.
Yeah, well, yeah, good point. And so I think your point about talking it through with someone is really, really valid. Objectivity is incredibly difficult when it's not something that's necessarily comfortable or familiar. So to be able to just chat that through with a business coach or a coach or a business advisor, whatever you want to pick, I think is a really, really strong process to go through. Otherwise, we are at risk. And you've made this point. We've made this point many, many times, that business can be a lonely thing. If you're not careful, it can be a lonely place to be, particularly as a solopreneur. And I think the idea of having good people around you, people that you can reach out to, and can we just, even if it's just an hour, right? Yeah. Even if it's just an hour, just to get your head out from what might feel right, to double checking the process you're going through is going to deliver what you want it to deliver.
It's the water cooler moment. I had a client years ago that used to call her, she said, calls with me were like her water cooler moment.
Yeah.
When, in the office, you go and chat to her, and we're doing this and doing that. And someone will go, have you thought about that and that? And it just brings it in, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really, I agree with you. It's really important that we have someone that we can talk things through with. And I think I would almost go as far as to say that might not be AI. It could be a real person that's lived and breathed, and has done this all before. I think coming back to this, the gap between the first part that we were talking about in the call last time in CRM and your sales. So when we're talking about the sales, we're talking right at the other end when you're having that sales conversation, when you're looking to convert that person into becoming a client. This piece in the middle, we can make it as complicated as we like. We can make it as clunky as we like. We can make it as difficult. We can do all of those things, but the only people that we are hurting is ourselves and our client, who is sat there waiting for you to get your shit together so that they can have the conversation with you and they can buy your thing or work with you, or you can help them move from A to B. And I think that's worth remembering. Am I just procrastinating?
Yeah.
And if I put my client in front of me, how do I want them to feel? What do I want for them? The other thing I just want to throw into the pot, Paul, and I know I've said this before, done is perfect. Perfectionism is the killer. It will suck the lifeblood out of you. And I always use a website as an example. Your website will never be perfect and it will never be finished. It cannot be, because you are naturally evolving and changing and developing and growing all the time, and that's what's wonderful. But that means that your website will be never done. So actually and I say it to clients now and I go, so I think we're done there, aren't we? Or now? I go, yes, it is. Okay, so where do we need to move and what do we need to look at? Because otherwise we'll just keep looking to make everything perfect. And while we're doing that, because I say because I know I've done it, somebody else puts your thing out that, that they're out there and they're making the sales and they are in front of your potential client.
It's so true. And you put it so succinctly. I do wonder if I need to tick the box that says there's swearing in this episode now.
Perhaps you might need to. I'm in that mood, Paul.
No, I'm also, I love mindset. And for me, that can be a big game changer. I think there's a great way of looking at this. And I think that is that you are doing your potential client a disservice by removing you from the choice they can make. And I think that's a really good way of looking at it, because none of us want to sit there and go, "What? I'm not in the mix for this." If you procrastinate or avoid, whatever word you want to use, on some of these things to get you to the point of a sales call, you're removing yourself from their choice, and it is their choice, and you want them to choose you.
Yeah.
So to
be the best option.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And we go into business, and I have no doubt people are like this. You go in with the full awareness that what you do, you're good at, what you offer is a really good offer, and what you know is you can help that client.
Yeah. So why would you not get yourself out?
Exactly. Why would you remove that choice from your client? How unfair is that? I know this sounds crazy, but when your brain hears that, when your brain hears it's unfair on that person, and you are a person that is all for your client, I can promise you it doesn't want to do that.
I haven't said it for a long time, but I used to say all the time, if you put your potential client, customer, call them what you like, at the center of your business, at the very heart of all that you do, you cannot get it wrong.
Yes.
Because you are then always talking to your perfect ideal client. You are always working in a way that will naturally attract that perfect client for you. So you cannot get it wrong. And I think that piece around us being fearful of getting it wrong, we almost need to, and I think as we get older, because you and I are a little bit older than probably, what it feels like some days. We're at that age where actually we ain't got time to mess about. We haven't got time to worry if we're going to get it wrong. We just need to get out there. And of course, the minute you put yourself out there, the minute you start to have conversations, doors open. The minute you start having conversations with, people in a networking event and start to tell them about your business, they'll send you referrals. We sit here worried about upsetting people and worried about getting it wrong. There are plenty of people out in this world today that are getting it wrong left, right, and center. Say no more on that. So compared to that, you cannot get it wrong.
No.
So do it, whatever it is. If you're worried about making a call because you want to chase up that proposal, pick up the phone. One, you'll probably be, the only call they receive that day because nobody makes any calls. Do that thing, whatever it is you're putting off. Maybe it's signing up to work with a coach. Maybe it's doing some training. Maybe it's sending out 10 proposals today. I was on a call this morning and the guy has put out something like 10 proposals. They're all coming in and they're all coming in as yeses. If he hadn't put the proposals out, his pipeline would not be filling for April, May, June right now.
It's fundamental, isn't it? And we talk about taking these steps and taking these actions. I think it's fair to say that the expectation isn't some super performing action that only the best of the best can take. We're not saying that. We're saying just do the right steps, step by step. Understand that your potential customer is as human as you are. Right? Don't sit there. I think this can be a thing. I think people can sit there and go, and they don't do this consciously, so I'm paraphrasing the brain here, and go, I've got to be so careful with this potential client. I've got to be so careful I don't say the wrong thing, or I've got to be so careful I'm wearing the right clothes when I talk to them, whatever it might be. And the reality is, we all put our clothes on our trousers on one leg at a time, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you're a customer, coach, the King of England, of the United Kingdom. Either way, we're humans, and your potential clients are not going to be distraught that you might have spelt a word wrong, or that you might have said something not exactly right. They're not going to be. What they're really, really pleased about is you paid attention.
You showed up.
You showed up.
Yeah.
And I think this is key, because what have we said? We've said all along, we've said it many, many times, business is about relationships.
It is.
Relationships are not perfect.
No.
There's no such thing as a perfect one.
It's quite interesting, and I don't know if this should be another episode, Paul, but is it mindset or action? It's the chicken and egg, what comes first? And I do wonder if action is required to change your mindset. I think there has got to be somewhere in this that we have to do both, because I think you could work on your mindset and have the most incredible mindset, but if you're not taking the action, you're not reinforcing your new mindset that you had been working so hard on, or you're actually doing everything that, if you believe in manifesting and the universe and all that kind of thing, you can be saying that you want to be a multimillionaire. You could be saying that you want to attract clients, but over here, on the other side, you're hiding away. Then the universe goes, they're hiding, they're not ready. So you'll never, there is always this balance, isn't there? So I'm just wondering this chicken and egg, or whether it is just both together, because there's a part of me that's almost sat here now going, action is more important, even if the action is small, even if the action feels unimportant, because in taking the action, you'll go, oh, that wasn't so bad. Oh, I'm doing something. And I think, so could it be for another episode, Paul? I don't know.
Well, I mean, look, let me answer it from how I see it. I think it is, for me, it is a combination. I don't think there's any true right way. I think it's quite subjective. But what I will say is, even if it's not the action, an action makes a difference.
Yeah.
Right. So if the action is a big step thing, is to go from your pipeline to making a sales call, or is an action simply to go, I now have 10 people in my CRM as my pipeline, I'm now going to call one, or I'm going to contact one. And it's a small step, right? Because we don't want to get overwhelmed with, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to call 10 people now with the 10 people in my pipeline. So I think, in answer to your question, is it probably is a combination of both. But I don't think we need to worry about how big an action we take, as long as we take something so that it becomes, oh, that wasn't too bad. That's okay. And it doesn't matter how small, your brain doesn't understand magnitude. It simply says an action had an outcome. That's all it knows. And if you associate outcome with progress, then it was the right thing to do. Even if it was, I'm going to send one email.
Yeah,
it's an action. So, without dwelling on it endlessly, I do think there is a combination that's quite correct. I think it's action, and I think it's mindset. Sometimes it can be the other way around, depending on the subject. But I think the message has to be, take an action. Take an action that moves you forward. And let's not get into a place which goes, moving me forward is simply designing whether my logo appears on my CRM. That is not moving forward.
No, and that's a really good one to, it's a way of asking yourself, isn't it? Is it moving my business forward, or is it moving my client through the pipeline?
Yes, good point.
So, and I'm all for using questions, Paul. I think they're really, really valuable. I gave a question to my client the other day. She wasn't allowed to do anything unless she asked herself, will this make me any money?
Great question.
It's a great question. Just to make sure that we were focusing our attention, because otherwise we get easily distracted.
Yeah.
Otherwise, and that wasn't her about her being distracted, but she was recognizing that she was doing more work than she needed to, more work than she was contracted to, because she wanted to do a really good job. So it's about, well, you're already doing a really good job. I think there is this I really like what we're saying. So in my head, I've got my CRM over here, the start of my pipeline, or it might even not be the very start because there are some pieces, but we'll pretend it's the start. And this bit over here, which is your conversion, your sales conversation. So if you take an action that only moves one client along a little bit, and that along a little bit might be you reaching out to them and checking in with them. That's all it needs to be, something really small. I think that's really strong. If you went, okay, I've done that, that didn't feel so bad. You'll immediately go, that didn't feel so bad. Okay, so I've got 9 more people I can have that conversation with. And I think it suddenly helps people to see that the bridge that we are trying, the gap that we're trying to fill, doesn't have to be filled with lots of funnel sections, with lots of, all bells and whistles. It can be really simple steps. And I think if you can just come back to it, doesn't have to be complicated. That will help. And I think that will also help you tune out the information overload. You need 25 steps. You need 3 lead magnets. You need this, and you need a complicated system that sends them. If they answer yes to this, they spin off that. You don't need all of that. Some people might, but most of us don't.
Perfectly put. Now, I've got one final question before we inevitably run out of time, as we do.
Already?
I know.
I just started talking.
I know, at least 2 minutes ago, wasn't it? Yeah. So I've got one question. What constitutes what constitutes moving your business forward? So, we said, take an action that moves your business forward. Now, you could argue spending more time on my CRM is moving my business forward. Is that reality, though?
I would say, right, there's 2 things there. Well, not 2 things. When someone says, I'm working on my CRM, I would question what that means. If that's creating more fields and more sections and tidying it up and making sure everyone's name is spelled correctly, that's not moving anyone forward.
No.
Yeah, that's just grunt work. And somebody else could be doing that for you.
Yep.
If working on your CRM is every day going in, now I use my CRM in a way that it's always got little tasks that come up, because whenever I do something, a task comes up. It could be checking to see if you have any tasks. So for me, I might have 3 people that I need to reach out to, and that might just be to check in with them because we haven't spoken for about 3 months. It might be looking at your CRM and going, okay, I sent them a proposal. My next task is to ring them up. So that's a bit further along. But working on your CRM, so because it's your heart of your business for me, that's where you go when you're thinking, right, what do I need today to move my business forward? For me, moving your business forward nearly always comes down to, is it going to put money in my bank account?
Yeah.
Because if creating more social media content, I would, if that's your job today, ask yourself, is that going to put more money in my bank account? Now you might say, well, it might do eventually. Might eventually, I think would be the clue. That is not a task that you need to necessarily be doing today. And I would say that's probably your baseline marketing that should be happening all the time. That's not stuff that moves your business forward. It's not what puts money in your bank. And I do think, Paul, this is where everyone goes wrong. They don't. Get a bit hot now. Paul, turn the heating on because it was a bit cold. Wish I hadn't done that now before I started this call. I think there is a piece here around moving your business forward. For me, is that going to put money in my bank?
Yeah.
And it might. And please don't all message me and go, but doing social media posts will eventually. It won't today.
No.
It won't today. So that's part of for me, that's the marketing side. That's the stuff we do day in, day out, and should be happening regardless. So what is the action? Yeah. And if someone says, I don't think I've got anything I can do, go to LinkedIn. Who was the last person you had a conversation with in the DMs? Start that conversation back up. If there was somebody in there that mentioned they were interested in working with you, pick that call, pick it up. Think about money in the bank.
Yeah, perfectly put. I can't add a lot to that, other than if we take LinkedIn, posting on LinkedIn and commenting on LinkedIn is the everyday.
It is.
Right? As you say, it's the marketing. It's not the actions moving your business forward. Doing a DM to have a conversation about a potential opportunity or to introduce yourself to a new ideal client, that is looking at something that's going to actively push your business forward, because it's about acquiring new business. It's about closing business. So I think that's a nice way of looking at it, that it's not passive, it's proactive, right? We're actually doing something that actively moves the business forward, or moves to a point, as you quite rightly say, that puts money in the bank. I love the fact we keep it that simple. I love the way you look at that, because it can be too complicated to go, now, is posting on LinkedIn moving me forward? And all of a sudden we fall into my approach to buying a car, and we don't want to be doing that, right?
I would say go back, and I've said it before. Is it passive or active? So anything that's passive is one to many. So social media is one to many. And I would say when we want to move our business forward, we need to be giving attention to active actions.
Yeah.
So, and that's usually one-to-one, one email, one phone call, one thing that you do, one DM if you like.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. Perfectly summarized.
Good one.
Couldn't we go on forever with this?
Yes, we could.
No, we do that forever for anything. We just eventually need to stop talking. So, so brilliant episode, Lindsey. Lots more to explore. I know we're going to carry on with this theme of certainly around business development, what needs to be done, involving sales and process. I think it's timely that we're looking at process and action. You know, I love mindset. I know you do too, but sometimes it's brass tack stuff. You just got to get on with stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to the next one, Lindsey.
Me too.
See you soon.
Take care.